Hi and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. So, in typical me fashion, I'm doing something that everybody else did at the beginning of the year. I have been addicted to watching everybody's shelf destruct videos. I love watching them. I love watching when people react to their previous years, or they do like halfway through the year catch-ups to see how they're getting on with it. And I have never done that and I probably should. I obviously have quite the collection of books, an ever-growing collection, because Simon and I are both avid readers, and I think we're currently at about 1900. So quite a lot of books, and my physical count of books that I want to read on my shelves that have not read is at about 400 at the minute. That is ever changing. That has probably changed by the time you see this, for the time I filmed this, because it's an addiction and I'm forever buying books. So what are numbers? But I have had some books on my shelf for absolute years and I have never picked them up, and when I come through to find the book that I want to read, I never gravitate towards them, and so they are just languishing on my shelf, unloved and unread. So I have went back to some of the books that I have purchased from the longest time ago to find a few that I can put on my shelf destruct TBR. So I didn't do one of these at the beginning of the year because I had my I seriously need to finish this challenge that I was running this year, which is where I tried to finish up all of the series that I have currently started because I am terrible. And I also have my Suki Stackhouse Out of the Coffin read along happening, which I am hosting with me and Ange. And I'm a dirty mood reader, so I can't do a TBR, can't stick to one. If I set myself a TBR, I get slumpy. I end up not wanting to read the books that are on that TBR because like I'm just a wee rebel at heart, that I will pick up anything other than those books. So I didn't do this at the beginning of the year because I thought like it would just be far too much pressure on me, and that I would end up not enjoying it, or that I would focus on this more than I would finish on my I seriously need to finish this challenge, and then I'd feel like somehow I had failed, even though who the hell cares. So I didn't want to add that additional pressure. However, I have been doing really well at my I seriously need to finish this challenge, and I've managed to get a fair few ticked off my list. I did say that I would start more. I wasn't allowed to sort of start a new series until I have ticked another one off the list, and I only accidentally started one series and I actually haven't added any more because I've just been trying to finish the ones that I have started. So I'm proud of myself for that. And I am halfway through the Out of the Coffin read along now. We have passed our June month where we read 2 books, so I feel like now is the time to sort of introduce this, and I will be able to read them without feeling a huge amount of pressure. So that's what we're doing today after that 50-minute rambly intro. So I know a lot of people do 12 books, a lot of people do less. I have opted to do less just because of the time of the year that we're in. I have 6 books, and I'm going to give myself the 6 months to read them, tentatively. I know most people give themselves the year. I'm going to do the 6 months and hopefully get these read before the end of the year, but if anything pops up, any additional read-alongs or whatever, then I might give myself the 12 months, because I obviously picked these books for a reason, and so I would like to give them a fair go before deciding to get rid. So we'll see how we go. I am being a wee bit lenient with myself in the time frame because I am a mood reader, and so if I put too much pressure on myself then I know I just won't enjoy these books, and that's not really giving them a fair chance. So we'll see how we go in terms of timing. At the moment I'm setting it at 6, but I might up it to the 12 months just depending on how life goes. So let's stop talking and let's tell you about the books. So first up we have Mayhem by Sarah Pinborough. This caught my attention because it is loosely Jack the Ripper inspired, and I am obsessed with anything Jack the Ripper. So this made it on the list. It made it onto my shelves, but it's sort of historical, and I feel like sometimes I really enjoy historical fiction, another time it just really aggravates me, and so I feel like I've got to be in a really specific mood for it. And so I think that's what puts me off picking this up. It's also a wee bit of a crime mystery with horror elements. It's described as historical crime horror, so I hope that it is more horror than it is thriller to help me get on with it. But it sounds really good. So it's essentially set in the time of Jack the Ripper. There's a detective brought in to investigate the case, but no is as it seems, and it might not quite be Jack the Ripper. It sounds like it could be something a bit supernaturally, which would be so up my street. So this is definitely one on the list. It is one that's been on my radar, like, and I have thought about picking this one up, potentially more so than the others, but it's just the historical aspect of it that puts me off, because I don't want it to lean too much into the historical aspect that I am not going to then be able to fully enjoy like the horror and the creepy elements. However, the Victorian era can be quite creepy, so we'll see how we go, but that's the first one. Then we have His Bloody Project by Graham McCrae Burnett. On paper, this sounds right up my street. It is by a Scottish author. Graham McCrae Burnett is Scottish. It is part thriller, part horror. It's like a sort of a crime story written by the killer, and it's set in the Scottish Highlands. Like, has there ever been a book that has sounded made up my street than this book? And I was so excited to get this. Like, I was anticipating the release, and as soon as it came out, I rushed out to buy it. I bought it new for Waterstones, and I rarely buy new books, and then I have not picked it up since. No picked it up. And I know that Graham McCrae Burnett gets a lot of hype. I know that people really enjoy his writing, and he's forever doing talks and tours and stuff at like the I Write Festival and Bloody Scotland and things like that, some of the Scottish book festivals. So like, he sells tickets, people love his books, so why have I not read this? Like, it sounds like it's going to be so interesting. Like, we know that the killer has committed these crimes because he talks about the fact that he's guilty, and it's written by him. I think it's like a memoir that's been written by the killer. It just sounds so interesting, because we're going to really get into his mindset and into the reasonings why he did these things. And like, I'm forever saying that that would be my dream job. Like, if I could just talk to serial killers and try and analyse them and break down, you know, what went wrong, and whether it's like nature versus nurture, and sort of all these arguments, like, that would be so cool to me. And so this book sounds so fucking perfect. But like, here I am. Like, it was literally, it says shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize 2016. 2016. What are we? 2022. I've not read this yet. Like, it was so long ago, and I just need to bite the bullet. I need to pick it up and read it or get rid. So next up we have House of Shadows by Pamela Hartshorn, and this again, it's sort of historically and it sounds like it could be a really good book. So we have our main character, Kate, and Kate moves into, what's it called? Askerby Hall, and she has an accident. She falls and she hits her head, and when she wakes up, she doesn't remember any of her family. She doesn't recognise anybody, no her husband, no her kids, nothing at all. She has no memory of the accident or before the accident, but she does start getting memories of the lady who lived and died in Askerby Hall before her, and in order for her to get her memories back and sort of find out what's happened to her, she needs to help the previous owner and use all of her memories to try and find out what happened to her as well. So it sounds like we're going to get it maybe sort of a dual perspective, and it sounds like it could be quite creepy, and I maybe a wee bit haunted house-ish, but again, it's a bit historical, and therefore I have never picked this up. Like, again, it sounds really up my street. It sounds like my type of book. I mean, I keep saying that, but like, I literally bought all these books, didn't I? So obviously at some point they seemed like my type of book. But it it does sound really good, and this is a wee bit chunkier than some of the other ones. I mean, it's no ridiculously long, in fairness. It's like, what, nearly 500 pages, and so I just haven't taken the punt on it yet, but I feel like I should. Aye. And then we have A Facelift Glass by Frances Hardin. So I unhauled this in one of my library glow up videos, and then took it out of the unhaul bag and put it back on my shelf because I'm the worst. So we have an underground world called Caverna, and everybody in Caverna has blank faces, so you can't see anybody's expressions or emotions through their face, which means you sort of can't trust anybody because you never really know how they are truly feeling. And we have our main character. She falls into this world and she has a normal face like you or I, and so she needs to sort of hide the fact that she has this normal face. And this sounds really cool. Like, it sounds like it could be really interesting. I know that Frances Hardin does get a lot of love. I tried to read another book, The Lie Tree, and I really didn't enjoy that. But I'm hoping that this is going to be the one that's going to make me want to pick up more of her books. I definitely think this is more middle grade than it is YA. I definitely think that it's for a younger audience. So hopefully I should fly through this. And then we have Douglas Copeland, Girlfriend in a Coma. I know nothing about this book, absolutely nothing. Picked it up one time when we were doing a charity shop book haul, simply because it was a Douglas Copeland book, because I read, is it Hey Nostradamus, when I was in high school, and I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was brilliant, so I was like, oh, that's by the same author, I'll pick it up. And it has been on my shelf ever since. Never read it, never looked at it. It's not even one that I have considered picking up at any point, to be honest. So it's definitely on the list. And then lastly we have The End of Everything by Megan Abbott. I actually picked this up in Poundland a few years ago and Simon recommended it to me. So it's about two teenage girls. One of them goes missing, and so it's the responsibility of the other teenage girl to try and help everybody in finding her. And during that she discovers that she might actually have feelings for her best friend, and it leads her to sort of discover more about herself and her sexuality, which sounds brilliant, and it is tiny. Like, this would be such a quick wee read, and it just sounds like sort of a queer coming of age story, which, like, again, is my type of book. I keep saying this, but also this has been on my shelf for years and years and years. It says here it was in the Richard and Judy book club in 2011. I obviously got it in Poundland, so it must have been a good few years later, but I haven't read it and it's sat on my shelf. And this is like the first book on my paperback shelf also, because we alphabetise by author surname because we're that sad. And I like the fact that I haven't bothered Mars to read the first book that is on my shelf. I feel like it's a letdown. I feel like I'm letting my library down, so I need to get to it. So if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned, please let me know down in the comments. Give me some hype to like read these books and make me want to pick these up, please. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!